Hey everyone, thanks for watching. So tonight I want to talk about dissolving this ego, this identity, this thing, this mind that keeps us in a place of separation. So if you're here watching, welcome. I know this is just going out into the internet. So just a little housekeeping to begin with. I was supposed to do a workshop tonight and I couldn't sell tickets. So obviously, the universe didn't want me to sell tickets because there's no logical reason why I couldn't sell tickets. Lots of people looking at it, no reason, so it wasn't meant to be because there are no mistakes in the universe. The other piece of housekeeping as well is next Wednesday will be an evening of healing. I do that once a month, and this will be a free donation event through Zoom because I do get into some powerful energies, if you will, and Facebook Restream, they don't handle that energy very well, but Zoom seems to do okay with that. So what I want to talk about tonight was this mind that creates all this division, all this separation. Like our name is a big point of identity, of identification. Then we have a story attached to that name that does not help us. It just keeps the story alive. And we take this story as our truth. I can't do this. I'm not the right age. I'm not the right sex. Whatever it may be, the mind's always coming up with stories, with excuses. But tonight, this is about how do we dissolve this identity, this ego, this false perception that we have. Well, it's actually very simple. I was really fortunate not to have a spiritual teacher. I simply read about meditation, and meditation brings inner peace. I had no concept of healing, bringing things back into harmony, back into balance. I simply wanted inner peace. And how do we get this inner peace? Well, one way to do that is to see that you have these stories, these thoughts, but they are not you, that you are beyond those thoughts, that you are the witness to this thought, these experiences, to realize that we're connected to the one, that we're all related at this deeper level. And even on this human level, we're still related. We still have common ancestors. We may be very far distant cousins, but we're all related. So tonight we're really going to dive into how do we dissolve this? How do we break up this story that's causing us pain, suffering, conflicts, becoming at war with ourselves? So I see Dowie here watching. I see Katie, I see Rebecca, so welcome. So I'm always about, not doing too long of a talk because it's really about having the direct experience. Otherwise, we're chasing thoughts with more thoughts, and we're really trying to get rid of the thoughts. Or maybe not, if we can't get rid of the thoughts, we no longer attach to the thoughts. And that's what we really do. We really attach to our story. We have this name, this story, and we attach to it like it's our truth. And I was always attached to my labels. I have bipolar, I have multiple sclerosis, I have this, I have that. Taking ownership of that. If you take ownership of something, you really have a hard time getting rid of it. It sort of becomes sticky as you identify with it. So the way out of this is to realize, to be here, or look at things that you are not. I'm not bipolar. I'm not MS. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not this or that. And the process of exclusion. And this is what the Buddha did. He spent like 15, 20 minutes in some talk talking about all the things that he was not to ultimately get to what we are. We're all the awakened Buddha, but the mind has us asleep, if you will, that we all have this Buddha nature within us, that essence. But we forget it's the game the mind plays. I lost it, I forgot it. But once you have it, you can never fully lose it because you had that glimpse into the true reality of peace, of love, of contentment, not going with the mind. The mind's always in a place of lack. But once you're connected to all that is, things just show up without much effort because you're in alignment. So we're just going to talk about some practices to really dissolve this stuff. So the way that I did it, 10 years ago was there goes the mind thinking again, and you don't judge, you don't condemn it, because that's what the mind does. It thinks, but we don't have to attach to those thoughts. So when the mind would go off on its tangent, I would just be like, where are my feet? Mind busy, where are my feet? Mind busy, where are my feet? And each time you come back to this moment, you're putting more gaps into the thought stream. The more gaps, the more peace. So you can find that practice for you. What works for you? Mind thinking. Oh, where am I standing? What do I see? What do I touch? Like if you watch the Dalai Lama, he's constantly touching things. If you really watch him, he's constantly touching to keep himself grounded in this moment. I don't know if it's a conscious effort or just develop this habit just to keep himself here and not lost. Because whenever you're in these thoughts, you are lost. You're in a disempowered state. So the ego may not instantly vanish in a poof, no longer holding control over you, but with practice and practice and practice, the mind grows quieter and quieter and quieter. And to realize that there's no rules, it could happen instantly for you. It could take a while. For me, it was about 2 weeks to realize I wasn't my thoughts. And a little bit later to determine that I am consciousness, I am spirit. And it wasn't an intellectual knowing, it was just this deep, deep knowing that I'm perfect spirit, just as you are perfect spirit. So, why is this so hard for the mind to accept? Because we've always been taught to cherish our opinions, our beliefs, our story. We're taught to be an individual. We're not taught to let it all go and be of service to another, because this another is actually a different expression of the one consciousness. The society flourishes when we're in a state of cooperation, but we're not taught cooperation. We're usually taught competition. Competition's division, separation, you versus them. But ultimately, we're all the same. So we need to find this practice that works for you, finding your feet, holding objects, looking at objects in your house, and not getting attached to a label. Don't identify that's a cabinet, that's the floor. Because anytime you're identifying, you're going into the mind to put a label onto that. So we just want to relax. So tonight is just a simple talk. Next week will be, an evening of healing, and that's my free event, and I do that in Zoom. And we'll dive into some more details and have that direct experience. So just for now, let's take a moment to relax, to allow the eyes to soften, to get rid of those external stimulations. And we're just relaxing. There's no rules to relaxation. You can lay down, you can sit up, you can be walking around. Absolutely no rules. But we just don't want to identify anything if we're walking around. We want to keep our eyes open, but don't label anything. Just notice. So let's just say we are sitting, eyes closed, feeling your feet on the floor. So if the thoughts arise, and they will, we don't judge. We don't condemn these thoughts. We just come back, oh, are my feet still on the floor? Where are my hands? What do I hear? And just notice the more that you're in this moment, the deeper the peace. Right now, we are joined. Can you separate the listener from the speaker, from the talker? You cannot, because it's this constant stream of energy flowing between me and you. We can't separate who's the listener and who's the speaker because we can identify where the listener is. The listener is nowhere to be found because you were that essence that cannot be seen. It's just a simple practice of closing the eyes, relaxing, not getting caught in these mental stories, and just noticing, being the witness, to realize the real you cannot be seen. It can be felt in peace and presence. But even these words don't define it properly. So we just want to drift back here into this moment, knowing all is well, all is in perfect order, despite the opinion of the mind. Because we have to realize that all the conflict, all the horrors, all the suffering that we see in this world is a product of the mind, demanding that my beliefs are right, my way is the only way, creating that division. But to spirit, never goes dark. There's always that shining bright light. There is no dark night of the soul. It's simply the dark night of the mind, creating a lampshade over the soul. But we can rip that out, throw that away, and allow our light to shine, to hear our own voice, our own wisdom, hearing truth, not this relative truth in the mind. But just relax. You're doing enough. Notice the busyness of the mind, chasing, chasing, chasing. You have everything you need right here. It's leading the way. Are you willing to follow? That's ultimately up to you. Do you follow your own voice? Or do you follow the voice of the mind or another, thinking they know what's best for you? We assure you that you know what's best for you. The knower. You are the knower, not the guesser. That's the guesser. And sometimes it makes decent guesses, but it's still a guess based on a past experience. All right, I think that's all I wanted to share tonight. Just a brief little talk. And I'll 7:30 next week, I'll be doing my evening of healing, where I'll lead you through some healing processes for whether it's physical pain, some kind of suffering in the body, an illness, a disease. It can all go away. That this place, our spirit, our soul, does not follow the natural laws of physics, of science. Spirit knows none of that because they were all human creations. If it's a human creation, it's not the ultimate truth. Spirit can do all things. And if you read these ancient texts, you will see people levitating, doing all sorts of things that really would puzzle the mind. The mind would say there's no way that's possible. But they are. Everything is possible. There's no rules, there's no restrictions. There's only rules and restrictions in the state of separation in the mind. So take good care of yourself, and I will talk to you next week. You can always find me in the Head Trash Anonymous group. I'm around. Spirit is always here. You know the answers. Be quiet, be still, and listen. The whisper is always there. The mind is always trying to drown it out. All right, so I see Dallas here, Rebecca, Cheryl, Dowie, Katie. Thanks for watching. I will see you next week. Yeah, and I got a whole bunch of orange shirts, and then I'm wearing my Buddha here. Just a symbol that we are all Buddha. Everyone watching is Buddha. We just simply forget because Buddha is the essence of who we are. It's always about finding the most simplest way to our heart. And that's by being here in this moment. All right. Take good care of yourself. I will talk soon. Bye for now.